Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about variables and data types. And in today's video you're going to write your very first program with Python. So let's get started. First of all, what are variables? Variables are like containers that hold data, and they store data basically. And you can, for example, if you create a variable called box, you can store like stuffs. It's basically like a variable, it's like a container or a jar that holds some type of data in there. So that's what variables are. And an example would be like I can say text equals. So we use the equal. So after you create your variable here, so my variable is text. I'm creating this box or jar, and I put a space here, and then I put this equal sign to assign the container text into some data. So I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna put this thing here. So I know that's a lot of stuff here. So I'm gonna place some of that. Here I go. Here. So I'm saying text equals lorem ipsum. And why do I put strings or quotes between texts? That's because when you're like printing a text or assigning a string, by the way, if you don't know what a string is, it's like a piece of text, and you put double or single quotes around the text. If you're assigning it to numbers and stuff, it's okay. You don't have to like add this quotes, and that's basically the difference between integers and strings. And here I have this variable, and when I run my program, nothing's gonna happen because I created a variable and I assigned it to some type of data. It's not gonna do anything. Like I have to, like if I want to like print it out, I need to use the print function to print it out. So programming is specific. You have to tell the computer every step. You can't just say, "Oh, text equals from ipsum," and like expect it to print it for you. You have to print it yourself. So after you create this variable, you go here and then say print, and then so when we use the print function, we're just saying print, and then you put this parentheses, regular parentheses, and in this regular parentheses you put text here, and that's how you print it. So I say print and then regular parentheses, and what I'm saying here is I'm saying print whatever is inside this parentheses right here. And you might be asking yourself, oh, I thought you said that when you're printing a text, you put quotes between them. Well, if you're printing a variable, you don't have to put quotes. If you put a quote, for example, here, what's going to do is here. It's going to print text, because what we're saying here is we're saying we want to print text. We're not saying print the variable text, so we don't put quotes around variables. So if I run it here, I'm going to get lorem ipsum. And this might be a little confusing for some of you, and I'm just going to go over it again. So I'm creating this variable called text, and I'm assigning it to lorem ipsum, this text lorem ipsum, and then I'm printing out the variable text so I can see my results, or my what the text container holds. And another example would be, let's say you want to store your name. We can say name equals Callie, and then we can say um, we can say Callie there, and then we could say print, put regular parentheses here, and then we put name and run it. We get Callie. Notice that our program prints it step by step. It doesn't first print this program. It first prints this program here, and then it prints the second program here, because that's how computers work. They follow instructions step by step, starting from the top, going to the bottom. They don't start at the bottom and then go up. It's always like that. And that's basically, congratulations, you've written your first program. And I know that was a lot of things. We're going to be covering this in our next lessons and stuff, and we're going to be covering all of this stuff in our next lessons, so don't worry about it. This is just introduction to it. So yeah, that's basically what it is. Now I want to talk about data types or data types. So to do that, I'm going to create a new cell. So I'm going to click code, and I'm going to create a new cell here. So basically, what are data types? Data types are like, and in Python, there are three main data types. In other programming languages are like separated, But like in Python, there's an integer, there's a string, and a boolean. And I'm gonna explain what they all mean. So this is bool stands for boolean, and it means basically it means true or false. That's it. They're just true or false. And it's you can use booleans like when you're like checking conditions, basically. So we'll get into that in our future lessons. And stir stands for string, and that's just a piece of text. And int stands for integer. I don't know if I spelled that right. Integer. Here. Integer. Okay, correct me if I got it wrong. It's basically like their numbers, basically, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and forth. So that's basically what data types are, and they're just like so for example, we have this program here called text. So if I copy this thing here, so control C. Oops. Oh, my bad. Here, if I copy control C and paste here, control V, I have text equals Lorem ipsum print text. And right here, basically, what is this variable holding? What kind of data is it holding? What is the collection? What's the type of data? It's string because it's a piece of text here, and we can verify that by saying print type. Oops. We can say print type and then put this another parentheses inside the parentheses and then say text. And I'll explain what this is saying in a second. And it's going to print class stir, which is for a string, a piece of text. So it's important to know what kind of data you're working with because it will help you a lot in future when you're like programming. We'll get into that later. But if you want to find the data of a variable, what you could do is you could say print type and then text. Or you could also say print and then you could put type, another parentheses there. And you could say, here, let's put like 1, 2, 3. And it's gonna print int for you there. So it doesn't have to be a variable. It can be like anything, And it says int for us. And then you can also say print. You can say print type. And then we can say true. And it's gonna print bool for us, which is for boolean. So this is how you can work with data types, and we're going to get into data types. This is just the starting of it. We're going to be working with them a lot, and it's important to know like what kind of data that the user should enter and stuff like that. So that's basically what data types are. And we can work with like I can, for example, say let's see. I can say age equals 11, and I can say print age. And if I print that, it's going to say 11. And notice that when I print it, I'm always printing a variable. It doesn't need to be a variable. It can be like, I can say age here. I can say 11 here. And it's going to print 11 for me. Like when you're working with numbers, you don't have to put quotes. It's optional, I guess. But if you don't put quotes, I mean, it's fine. But if I put like string and if I don't add like any, my bad. If I don't add like any, if it's not a variable, it's going to give me an error because it's not defined. Kaka or whatever you're printing is not defined. So that's just something to know. So he says you can also print hello world, or you can say my name is, and if you run it, it prints my name is ... So that's basically like how you can work with the strings and integers and Boolean. So let's just work a little bit with Boolean. It's kind of confusing. We're going to be working with Booleans and if and else statements. We'll get into that if you're confused. Don't worry about it. That's just for future lessons. So you can say, for example, you can say, is rainy? and rainy equals, if I say false, and if I print rainy, it's gonna print false for me because it's false. So that's kind of confusing. We'll get into booleans later on. But now the next thing I want to talk about is naming your variables. There are like some rules that you need to follow to name when you're naming variables. You need to it can't start with a number. It can't be it can't start with a capitalized letter. And if you also, I prefer using Camel Case, and Camel Case is like basically like when that's, I'm so sorry, my bad. Camel Case is like basically so camel, and let's say case. I'm gonna use like, let's see, my name is. You can see what a camel case basically is, because the first word is all lowercase, and the second word, to show that it's a second word, you have to you can capitalize the first letter of the word, and the same thing for this one. Or if you don't want to use that, you can also use hyphens or underscores or plus signs or other stuffs, but it can't start with a number and it can't be capitalized. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.